animal abuse in the United States of America. Simple or gross neglect, intentional abuse and torture, organized abuse, animal sexual abuse, which... And welcome back to Gallagher's Grip. This is your host, Daniel Gallagher. We are coming to you live from the Gallagher's Grip studio here in the south side of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you following me. I appreciate your fantastic emails and comments and compliments and criticism across the board with the Gallagher's Grip show here. I really, really do appreciate, what you say. I listen, I read, and try to do the best I can, to represent some of these topics. Lately, I've been hearing from folks that there's a lot of anger in some of my podcasts, and I call these solo podcasts. But I would have to almost agree, but I wouldn't say it's anger out of being mad, although sometimes it is. I would just say it's my tone of voice is very, very strong, and it gets that way when I do speak about a topic that bothers the living heck out of me. And this next topic is certainly one that meets those qualifications. This next topic that we are talking about is animal abuse in the world, animal abuse in the United States of America. Listen closely. There are four categories that are considered to be in the realm of animal abuse. Number one is simple or gross neglect. Number two is intentional abuse and torture. Number three is organized abuse. And number four is animal sexual abuse, which very, very interesting. Look, how can you make the conscious decision to abuse an animal at the level where you are not feeding it, not taking care of it, hurting it on purpose? Or one of my biggest pet peeves is letting that animal go and then leaving it. For the pieces of crap, the stunning pieces of crap that exist that choose to simply open up a car door and let their dog out or cat out and then drive away down the highway, and that animal is confused and left completely on his own. Well, if you are that type of person that actually does something of that magnitude, then let me tell you this: you are a Class A scumbag piece of shit. And you will always be a scumbag piece of shit. And I want to make sure you get the shit part in your ears, because that's exactly who you are. For a human being to make that decision, to intentionally neglect, not feed, not care for, not take care of an animal, says a lot about that particular human. Now, folks, I'm not talking about harvesting or hunting animals. I'm not talking about deer hunting or elk hunting or hunting of any category. Those are monitored by state agencies, and those are put in place to harvest a certain number of animals so you don't drive down the road and hit 10 deer at once or run over 20 turkeys at once. Those are statistic based. Those are monitored on an annual basis, and those parameters are put in place for the greater good of the American citizens and the population surrounding. But you want to abuse a horse, a dog, a cat. I was watching an episode of animal abuse the other day, and there was a person, a scumbag, piece of shit person, to be clear, who actually took tape, black electrical tape and taped the paws and the legs of both of these two dogs and taped both of the legs together so the dog couldn't move, and then actually taped the mouth together and simply left both of the dogs on the side of the road so they couldn't move, couldn't fend for themselves, and simply were left to die. Now, that person should be caught. That person should be given probably a mandatory 10 years of prison, for an action that is so disgusting and so disrespectful at that level. I believe that we should implement a 10-year mandatory prison sentence if we actually do come across people who make the decision to actually do that to an innocent animal across the board. You can easily go to multiple humane societies where they don't, in fact, put these animals to death, and they try very hard to adopt, to put them in an adoption program to get a loving, kind, caring family to take the animal in and take care of the animal. But you want to purposely hurt and harm and leave the animal to die, then I say that you are, once again, as clear as I can speak, and I will articulate this as best as possible, a scumbag piece of shit for you to do this. Folks, there are so many horrific stories of animal abuse in this country, and you absolutely know the animal abuse is going on around the world. But these stories, they're so sad and mind-blowing that you could think a human being would actually make the decision to do these kinds of things to animals and not have any kind of conscience whatsoever. To me, it absolutely justifies a 10-year prison sentence without question. I believe that these people should be put on a public newscast or platform showing their face and explaining to the world exactly what they did do to hurt or harm these innocent animals. I mean, the other day I was also looking at some articles about horse abuse and what takes place when the horses are no longer in a usable format. They just shoot them. They just kill them. They just shoot them. They'll just put a bullet through their brain and shoot them. Don't even allow them to live the rest of their lives. If they're a racehorse, or depending on what kind of horse you're talking about, they just shoot them. They just kill them. No conscience. They don't want to feed them. They don't want to pay the cost of food to keep these animals alive. What do? They just put a bullet in their head. That's the easy solution. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Again, I'm going to clarify. It's not about hunting or harvesting animals. That's a whole other world. Okay, that I frankly don't have an issue with at all. I'm an outdoorsman myself. But you make the decision to hurt or harm innocent animals. I mean, look, I'm not trying to get I'm not trying to get ultra negative here, but you read stories where, people burn these animals. People intentionally not feed them until they simply die of starvation. No water whatsoever. Or, the one that disgusts me the most are these just disgusting human beings that will put these animals in a garbage bag, and tie the garbage bag and just throw the bag in the dumpster and keep on moving on. Those are the people that I would like found. Those are the people that I would like criminally prosecuted. Those are the people that actually need to be made an example out of. I mean, come on. Look, we're only on this planet for a certain period of time. That's it. End of story. You want to do good things in life. If you're a good person, you try to do good things in your life, okay? You try to help people. You try to help animals. You try to help situations. You try to do things for the greater good of mankind, humankind, okay? I'm the type of guy that if I'm driving down the street and I see a dog that's lost, well, guess what? I'm stopping. I'm to figure out if I can get that dog, if I can actually bring that dog in. I may not be able to keep that dog because I'm an animal lover myself. I've got a chocolate Labrador Retriever at my house that's a bit overweight because I feed him a little too much, but he's ours. I love him to death, and he's part of the family. And the reality is, if I couldn't keep the dog I found on the side of the street, well, then you know what? I'm going to find him a home or her a home because that's the right thing to do. I mean, there is absolutely a great distinction between what is right and what is wrong. And I just believe that a lot of folks have gotten away from that. I really do. The right decision would be to help an animal. The right decision would be to do whatever you can to take care of an animal and not abuse it on purpose, not harm it on purpose, not intentionally abuse or torture the animal on purpose. The word torture when it comes to animal abuse is disgusting because if you really read and see what goes on when people make the decision to torture an innocent animal for self-gratification because they get their kicks from it. It makes them happy when they see something else hurt that can't defend themselves. You know, I would even go as far as that kind of person should be in jail for a lifetime sentence for somebody who does nothing but torture an animal at that level. Because look, there's a lot of farms, there's a lot of country in this country. You get up on an airplane here in the city of Chicago or any other major metropolitan area, and you get on an airplane and you fly, you know, in most cases north, south, west, east, and you see nothing but farmland. So God only knows what's really going on in certain spots in certain areas. And the truth is that, you know, we are getting more strict on animal abuse in the United States. The laws are getting more strict. I think that this topic has definitely come to light across the board. Hell, there was an incident. 2 weeks ago about dog fighting, and that whole world of chicken fighting and dog fighting, just so these people can bet on these animals to see what one would win and what one would lose. I'm not talking about horse racing. I'm not talking about, a horse showing. I'm talking about these ridiculous human beings, if you want to call them that make the decision to get two pit bulls, and I'm just using this breed as an example for the moment. They put them in a controlled atmosphere and in controlled environment, and they are tuned to do nothing but kill and rip and shred and destroy for the sake of people in the stands smiling and making a couple of bets. Should be completely illegal. Those people should be all arrested. It's absolutely unacceptable, and it should be. I mean, my God, who would do that? Who would truly do that? I mean, I ask you that question, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a person who actually gets happy by making an animal feel pain, or an animal hurting, or you choose not to feed them, or you abuse them, or you tie them up and really do something terrible to them, then you are a grade A, full-blown, all-American, if you are an American, piece of shit. That's what you are. And I am 100% against animal abuse. Everybody here at Gallagher's Grip is 100% against animal abuse across the board. We despise it. But furthermore, we despise the people who are involved in these actions and activities. And we do whatever we can here to make sure that if we do come upon any kind of story at any level, we send it to the authorities and make sure that it is looked at very thoroughly, because we do not stand for it. You know, ladies and gentlemen, there's good and bad. You know, there's good and bad. There always will be good and bad in life. There's good and bad people. There's good and bad situations. It is what it is. But just as long as the good wins, as long as the good fights, as long as the good doesn't take their eye off the ball, because the bad will always be there. There are always going to be these bad pieces of shit that hurt and harm innocent animals. But if the good people are always watching over these situations and always acting and always giving it attention, always trying to do the best that they can to stop these situations, well, then you know what? That's where the goodness comes in my opinion. You have got a unbelievable amount of humane societies. Pause. The names go on and on. Every name is different in many different states, but the intent of these companies, okay, these wonderful companies, okay, is to take an animal in and take care of it. Take an animal in and make sure that it is away from a bad situation. These companies and these people that are within these organizations are amazing human beings, and they represent the good in America. They represent the good in the American citizens. We all know there's good, and we all know that there is bad. I hate to admit this. It's embarrassing for me to say, but I think it will never change. That's just the way it is. But for all the pieces of grade A, full-blown scale pieces of shit that make the decision to hurt, harm, burn, tie up, intentionally abuse, or neglect an innocent animal that has done absolutely nothing to you, you should get a minimum of 10 years in prison. And depending on the severity of the situation, life in prison. How can you hurt an innocent animal? How can you do such a terrible, terrible, terrible thing? Do you not have a conscience? Is that what it is? Do you just simply not care whatsoever? You just go about your life and whistle while you work? And does it make you feel more of a man or more of a woman if you put these animals in harm's way or hurt them? It would be wonderful to have those people who are involved in those situations in the ring and sick the flesh-eating dogs at them and have all of the animals in the stands laughing and watching that show take place. I'm against it. I'm completely against it. Everybody I know is completely against it. I know that law enforcement is against it at the federal and state levels. We are completely and totally against any kind and any form of animal abuse at any level whatsoever. Completely against it. Minimum 10 years in jail. I think it almost should be equal to the sex registration. If you are an animal abuser, you go on an actual registrar and you actually are publicized that you're that kind of human being, the piece of shit kind.